Firstly, good afternoon to everybody. I have to say it's firstly a pleasure to be here, so thank you, Theodore, for inviting me over. Secondly, it's Saturday afternoon. It's 4:30. Outside is amazing weather. Frankly, I'm shocked at the number of people that are still here. You've been hearing 2 days of everything about digital, so staying here even for next 1 hour, I don't know how many presentations after that, 2 more. Okay, that requires a lot of motivation actually, so I have to say I'm impressed on that front. Secondly, you've heard, and that's a challenge for me going in the next few minutes, and I'll definitely try not to keep you for 30 minutes. You've heard it all in past day and a half from so many presenters from great companies, from Google, from TripAdvisor, from all the others. So what is there to say? You have all the recipes out there, you just have to do them. And listening to last few presentations, I have to say, it can get very overwhelming. Trying to do all these things at once, I would be pretty, I would say, blocked where to start. And I would try to put a bit of a reality check on it. I think being a destination or a hotel, and I believe many of you or most of you in this room are either destinations or hotels or somehow players in this industry, do receive the guests and travelers already today, have been receiving it for past days, weeks, years. So what we are talking here about actually is not starting something from scratch, but improving what you are doing. So I wouldn't like you to go there out of this room overwhelmed with what to do and then being blocked at how to do it, because there are so many things I'm sure you're doing right already. So let's not get bogged down in all those details. What you've heard in past presentations, and I've been to some of them, are a lot of numbers. A lot of numbers. How many people do this activity? There are 57 people performing searches on this, 27% of business travelers, 72% on social, 87% doing this. I mean, frankly, all this information is useful, but I'd like to rephrase it in maybe just a few sentences and tell what I feel is important about these numbers rather than putting you another 20 numbers out there. One, internet is important, and you are here because of that. And it's for all industries become the sales, the distribution, the PR vehicle for everything you do. And you have to understand it. That's it. There is no way around it, for travel in particular. So all these numbers basically show this stuff. It's out there, and you have to be proactive about it. What shall you do? You should have a decent website at least. Many players have, many industries, many companies have done so many things, I would say, in past 10 years, struggling to move online. Moving to online has been a shock for many companies, many industries. Finally, they have done this more or less decently. Now we have the challenge of mobile. So now we have to do it all over again. So everything that we've done so far, not good. Half of people are on mobile now. So what you have to do, just have in mind, and this is the story about content and all the other things, you have to have a decent web presence. It can always be better, but it has to be decent. Furthermore, there are all these global platforms out there. Google, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, and I'm naming just the top ones. You have to find a way to manage your presence there, but also to keep in mind that none of those will be one solution for everything. So we live in such a world, it's very easy to get I would say, impressed by the brands, impressed by what they do, but we have to put a reality check on it. So not a single one of those will provide a solution, total solution for you. So what you have to do, keep them in mind, do it, put it properly in your media mix and in your activities, find the proper place and share for them, involve them in your activities, and that's pretty much it. And finally, your industry, travel industry, internet is important, but it is actually the stuff that you have been doing, I would say, for past 5, 10, 20 years, whoever is along there. You have to keep on making great products, great service for your client, doing actually everything that you've been doing so far. And the internet is just a great channel to inform people about it, to share, to acquire, and so on. So it's not the internet that shall drive your activities, but it's your activities that you should be performing anyway, both for destinations and the, just a second, I lost, oh, is it here? Ah, it's here. So you should do everything that you've been doing so far, I would say just having internet as a channel in mind. So I promise no numbers, not to drive you asleep. This is one version of something that you probably are familiar with, and it's what we call a decision journey. You're familiar with all the concepts of inspiration and awareness, consideration, intent, finally booking, and this is, I would say, this is what you should always keep in your mind, really, and this is, I would say, a fundamental concept of this is how your users, your customers decide. They have a different phase at which they are, and basically this is the same thing just shown through the real sites, real web pages, on a case of a, I would say, a typical German traveler, and the path he would be taking before booking your room. So he would be visiting different type of sites. It would be global OTAs. It will be local media. It will be, of course, search engines, Google most prominent among them. It would be the social media. So he will go back and forth, and in the end, he will come somewhere. Your challenge is to find them and to track them and to influence them at many different stages or at as many phases of this process as possible, and of course to do it in the most effective, financially effective way. And this is the challenge that everybody's facing. Different companies, especially in the travel sector, are looking at it in a different way, are doing different parts of this process, which I will refer to a bit later. But this is for you just to understand that this is what we are talking about all the time and every time. How do we get to those guys? So I will touch on a few of those points through some of my comments, and this is actually what I'll try to do in this next 15 minutes, touch a bit on each of those points or some of those points and tell you our observations, our experience, our thoughts on some of those points and what do they do and how you should, or maybe you should look at them. I'll start with Google. It has been touched many times over these past 2 days. Actually, I personally am an ex-Googler and an earlier one in Europe back in 2007 when Google Greece was started, founded as an operation. I was the one launching the operation in Adriatic, or ex-Yugoslavia, as you probably know better, Bulgaria and Romania. And back in those days, it was in Croatia that the headquarters was set up. It's still there. And the main driver for that was actually Croatian travel and Croatian travel industry. And it all started with, I would say, the real online activities basically started with Google and with search. And Google has brought the revolution to the internet. There is no doubt about it. But I think we are past the enthusiasm phase and I would say fascination phase with Google, and we should look at it just at what it actually performs for us. And this is, when you look, and I believe there are a number of hoteliers here who are doing their AdWords campaigns, when you look at your results and your bookings coming out of it, you will realize, or it is most likely that you will realize, that the vast majority of those bookings come from either brand terms or related brand terms. So actually a very narrow sample of all the keywords that you are bidding on. So what it does in the context of this funnel, it is the very, very end where actually the users have already decided. They're looking for the particular brand. Is it a Greek hotel or is it a particular name of the hotel? And you may say that Google was actually smart just to put themselves in between you, the traveler who has already decided to do something, to do the conversion, to go to the particular thing, and the hotel, and actually makes you charge for it. So this you have to have in mind, and what is that you're actually just using Google to facilitate the last click to your site that happens before the booking. The challenge and in that sense, you have to manage your budgets, and you have to basically look at it. It is not a solution per se. So just look what it brings and understand it is usually just the very, very end of the funnel that it brings to you. The complication has come with the appearance and growing strength of players like Booking.com. So whenever you go now out there and look for a particular brand, you'll see, and it has been noted a number of times during these past 2 days, you'll see a Booking.com on top. So what shall you do? I think everybody from the hotel side will agree that it is preferable to get a direct booking. Direct booking enables you to talk to your client, to offer him extra things. So it's actually great to get that direct booking rather than getting it through Booking.com. However, the question is your site ready, really ready, to do those bookings and do the execution in an efficient and I would say problemless manner? And this is, I would say, one of the key criteria you should have in mind, whether you are able to convert at a reasonable cost, given how your booking is doing, compared to Booking.com. Because in the end, they will charge you your fee, they will charge their fee. They're doing the exactly same thing, bidding with you. So in theory, you should definitely protect your brand by bidding on those words, trying to get it away from Booking.com. But if the users will come to your site and will not be able to perform, and you will see your statistics, and you are bad at your booking engine site, then it's basically probably a waste of money to do it. Second note, or a second area, it's quite unsexy, or it looks quite unsexy. Email in 2015 might look like, ooh, there is no technology in it, there is nothing in there. Email is actually still super powerful and super effective tool to drive those bookings. Having your own database of users or clients that have visited you, being able to reach out to them again, driving those retention ones, is the most efficient way of getting the customers. So you should definitely work constantly on building that base, broadening that base, and utilizing that base. What is there more to do? Well, now I come to the marketing and advertising side of the story. You can expand that when you're already in the email marketing business and reaching out to your consumers. What you can do, you can basically use, and there are a number of, and I'll stick to Europe, there are a number of providers of so-called third-party double opt-in databases that can be extremely well segmented, be it by geography, by income, and so on and so forth. So you can already use your mail that you have prepared for your direct clients, of course with a strong sales message, because this is what direct marketing is all about, and send it to a number of users that are not aware about you in the third-party basis and try to get them to convert. Of course, this works as any push channel. Push is always about getting those guys who don't know about you. So it doesn't come with a super great performance. It always is like that. But what can you do to enhance that performance? This is where technology comes into play, and the word remarketing. So what you can and should do is a number of things. To those guys who opened and showed some interest in your newsletter, because they were prompted by a title, by your name, by the offer, by the discount, by whatever, you shall retarget them. Of course, you can retarget them with another newsletter, slightly twisted, with an additional, I would say, content in it. Or you can retarget them, and this is a very smart and nice way of doing it, with banners. they're not expecting to see necessarily the banner from you. So once you have, using the technology, attracted them with newsletter, you should use the remarketing technology with the banners to actually make them purchase. Which brings me to the, I would say, most efficient tool that is out there for the past period, and it's retargeting. I'm sure most of you, at least I am, and I think many people in this room would be quite annoyed. You go to booking.com, you look for a hotel in Paris, 5 seconds later, you go to your portal to read the news, and the harassment by booking.com or any similar site starts. You see all those banners pushing you the hotel in Paris, the one you looked, the other two that he has concluded that you might be interested in, and you can't get away from it. It may be quite annoying, but believe me, it works. And it works very well. And it works very well in travel. So basic idea is, once you have captured the interested client, just don't let him forget about you. And don't let him do it. Put a piece of code and retarget him with the banners until he does what you wanted him to do. This is one of the key drivers of bookings and of performance in this industry. So don't be shy to use it. Just based, I would say, on your personal impression on whether you yourself like to be retargeted too. I would say, inspiration that came to our mind when looking at those Booking.com and similar sites, they actually look very much like catalogs of yesterday. I mean, print catalogs of yesterday from tour operators. When you look about it, except for the fact that it's online, not many things are different out there as an idea. So it's about, okay, you have reviews, but you had some kind of marks already there before. So the challenge here is, how do you stand out from the crowd of a few hundred of those in your destination or wherever in basically what is a listing? Of course, there are ways where you can pay more to be higher, which is of course interesting. But what you should consider in standing out is to use other options that are marketing options, advertising options that are at your disposal with those players. Be it Gianluca is, I think here, he would, from TripAdvisor, be it a CPM, be it a Trip Connect on a CPC, be it using different so-called display channels that cover a number of those sites where you can actually boost your message. So when people, for instance, looking on a TripAdvisor in Germany, are looking only Greek content, it is your option to stand out with your, of course, cool and sexy and pricey-wise great banner, and try to reach out to those users who are at the considering phase of their purchase. Technology has brought us, and it goes back to marketing in general. The marketing always was about trying to figure out what your right audience is and then trying to hit it with a message. I believe Greece would be one of the good candidates, or many destinations in Greece. Many travelers come here using airlines. So obviously, if they are flying over, there is a bunch of data, and some of it was presented, I think, yesterday here. There is a bunch of data on them, when they checked in, what they looked for, when they booked the flight, and so on. In terms of you as a destination who is attached to the airline, this is a great source of data that can be used to find the audience. Because if he's flying to Athens, and you know it from the data that is available, of course, using technology, that's much better targeting in terms of audience than just randomly going and advertising on Spiegel. So how it works, you collect the data from the providers using, of course, all the tools that the colleague from IAB was talking about. You shoot at them using RTB as platforms, and this is basically what these type of things produce great results. Finding your right audience and advertising to them. And I'm always here referring to the push side of things. What do I mean by push side of things? If you have enough demand for you and for your destination and for your hotel, frankly, you don't need no advertising. You need no activities. And I'm here exaggerating a bit. The reality is not many places out there do have a 100% occupancy, 365 days a year. So it is about balancing and understanding how many of those are out there already looking for you, and what and how do you want to send out your message to reach out to those other ones that you want in your property or destination. Mobile. I'll keep it short. Mobile has again brought a total, I would say, upheaval to the whole world within a very short period. 1 year, 2 years. You see many sites actually getting half of their traffic from mobile. One cannot ignore this. It's simply a fact of life, probably thanks to, I think, mostly to Steve Jobs and his wonderful inventions, and this is the reality. A minimum you should do is have your website ready for it. Of course, it is not about just about having a right property. This is just a necessity. It is also a potential for great advertising. And when you think about it, that screen that you're looking at so many times during the day, and how they are done already these days, they're just a perfect advertising medium. So just to show you an example, or two examples of mobile advertising that we came across. I hope you see it. It's actually pretty spectacular what you can do on that screen. And it goes to both branding side of things, but also it goes to the sheer e-commerce and this has shocked me. Just a second. Okay. Maybe you've noticed in the news in terms of mobile and e-commerce, there was a few weeks ago this great sales day in China. Alibaba made e-commerce sales of $12 billion in a day, of which almost half came from mobile devices. When you think about it, it's scary. But the main point of it, it's reality, so you should not ignore it. It may be, for some of us, at least for myself personally, it gets very, how to say, I have big fingers doing it on a small mobile screen, doing the e-commerce. I'm too lazy to do it. But there are so many people out there who actually do it, so don't ignore it. Here's the second one, very nice one from Expedia. We actually used it in our hands, so you look at it. They used it to boost the download of their apps, of which I will comment in a few seconds. And it's a very cool, I would say, marketing experience. When you are touched with a ad like this. Mobile apps, so often a story that we've heard in past, I would say, 12 to 18 months. The client comes to us and says, wow, I have to go mobile. And there has been this great company, they do all those cool apps, I need an app. This is where I want to start my mobile experience with. I'd say, yeah, that's great. Having a great app, yeah, why not? But just before you go there, try to be aware of the following facts. Firstly, if you look at your own mobile, think about how many apps you have on your screen. That screen is a quite limited piece of property. The amount of apps out there is enormous, huge. We are talking millions out there. So whatever you are, a great destination, a hotel, think about how many people will actually use the app. however cool you make it, even if they download it, for which you will have to invest some time, some money, and not just production cost, how many will come and use it again? Some statistics that we've pulled from Mashable, you see here, percentage of users who have used the app in the past month, and these are the top 10 apps. So the 10th app, which is Instagram, and I think it's quite used, only 10% of people have used it. So on travel side, in top 100 apps, you have just 6 travel apps. And you know the brands, I guess, from Uber to TripAdvisor. So just try to put yourself in the context. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Just put your expectation in the context of whether people will use it, how many people will use it, and how will you actually be able to put yourself on that screen for a longer period of time. And why would your user do it? I'll skip, and I'm going towards the end slowly. Skip to a totally different angle, but just to make a point on one case that we've been doing in Croatia for the past year, based on the efforts of, I would say, a number of years. Various destination companies can use premium media in a variety of ways, and it's definitely about creating the demand for your destination. So it's always the same game. There are a number of people who know about you, but you have to create the demand, and then that demand is captured by hotel players and any other commercial players out there. It is usually the role of DMOs to promote and push the destination. We've done this year the campaign for Croatian National Tourism Board across 16 European countries, in which they have used a variety of travel media, premium media, news channels. They've used all kinds of formats to basically drive awareness. But what was good about it, that we were able to push them. And I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to lie, that it was perfect, that everything was 100% coordinated, but we still managed to push them and put together the commercial players around the table and make them synchronize at least a bit their activities. Because it's about, when you think about that funnel at the beginning, it is about the destination creating the demand, and then the hotel picking up on their demand and making those bookings. Doing it in the right order, on the right markets, with the right timing, and not, you know, how to say, first hotel trying to do it and then the branding coming afterwards, is a great way to improve the efficiency of the marketing spend of everybody involved. And this is something, I don't know what's the situation in Greece, but I'm 100% sure it can always be improved. So destinations talking to the players in their market and synchronizing, and online is absolutely great for these things. One last note. When going proactively in a certain market, it pays off to, how to say, dig deeper. Italy is definitely one of the most important outgoing markets. Finding the right media when you want to talk, when you want to reach out to Italians, again in a push proactive manner, you would probably say, nah, I'm a beach destination. I don't need those Sicilians. They're anyway, I would say, have the similar type of stuff. So it is about those North Italians living in Milan or Verona or other places that are probably the candidates to come over here or a similar destination. Then when you dig a bit more deeper, you'll understand that the richest region in Italy is South Tyrol. Then you dig even more deeper and you realize actually people, yeah, they do speak Italian there, but the main language is German. And the media they consume is German media, or German-speaking media, let me be precise. I think you know all about troubled history and everything that goes on. This is also the case there, but being aware of that and then using the combination of all those global players, but also the local media to whom people trust, and where I would say a great combination of formats and models that can be used, performance model where one can buy media in a different CPC or hybrid or CPO model is a very well effective way of doing things. I'm coming to the end. This is the slide you are usually seeing in the context of the demand that there exists for a certain destination. I will not emphasize here, and you should not be looking at, what is this, for whom it is, Russia, is it for Greece, is it for a particular island? No, I just want you to think about this in the following context. There is a seasonality in demand that is beyond doubt for every destination. You have your channels at the end of that funnel, which is basically Google, which is Booking.com, which is TripAdvisor, where people, when they already know where they want to go, will go. And this will reflect the demand. And your presence on those platforms should reflect budget-wise these periods. But this can also serve you as a guideline on where and when you want to do your push stuff if there is a need for any. So again, if you are full, if everybody knows about you, you're lucky. You don't need to do marketing. But this can serve you as a kind of intuitive guideline on where and when to use your advertising activity. Too complicated, too many text. Here we try to summarize what it is about different types of campaigns, tracking the KPIs, putting the structure to it. One thing I would emphasize, but it has been talked about this afternoon and yesterday, you need to measure. You have to put those codes there. We have daily issues with our clients. We set up the tracking perfectly, and everything works well. 2 days later, suddenly there are no bookings. For 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, suddenly there are no bookings. And then you realize that somebody has played with the page, and screwed up the codes a bit. And all the tracking goes away. And there are so many little things that can, I would say, unintendedly destroy what you're doing and cut that information flow that you have to be aware of. So again, define your strategy. I'm not going to go into all the details, but then track. That's the best thing you can do. That would be all for me, except for this little thing to keep you up for the rest of the day. And I think it's before I launch it, I want to thank you for not falling asleep. I hope you haven't. One of the problems with all the videos that you see, it's always about finding that video and showing that video that has gathered 20 million, 30 million, 50 million views. And then you think about, wow, we should do, stuff like that. But how do you do a video that will generate 50 million views? Frankly, it's not easy. And it's most likely that you will not succeed because what you see is always this success syndrome. You are shown what is a successful thing, and there are many things that are not that successful. Why am I saying this? What I'll show you is what we feel is a very cute video from a hotel player. It doesn't have millions of views, it has some, but we feel it shows great emotion, great package, and this is was something with what I would like to conclude my afternoon here. Thank you. amazingly, it's Switzerland, so not necessarily the place that you would associate with cool and lively stuff. So yeah, I would expect much more lively and cool stuff here in Greece, which we have experienced already yesterday.